Good evening. This is Conversations with the JSAM, episode number 6, Fat Girl Guide to Getting Fit, or Rhiannon. We've had 5 previous episodes, and it has been a couple of weeks gap since we spoke with Jack Fat Loss Foster. We're getting really good engagement with the podcast and some awesome feedback, and I really appreciate everybody who's listening. Just to give you a quick summary, we started with Joe, the secret veggie. We moved on to episode 2 with Project Pav. Episode number 3 was with Coach Sam. Number 4 was the active insurance guy. And then, as I mentioned, episode 5 was Jack Fat Loss Foster. We're also going to start with a mini-series following the James Smith Academy Challenge, and we'll be bringing those episodes on a Tuesday. Today's the 3rd of July, so it will be on Tuesday the 6th of July. Tuesday the 7th of July will be the first episode. You can tell that obviously we're very well prepared at Conversations with. You can keep in contact with us on all social media. We're available on Instagram under podcast_conversations_with, and we have our own Facebook page, Podcast Conversations with, on Facebook. We are following in this first series members of the James Smith Academy and bringing you their own stories. Each of the first 5 and continuing with Rhiannon, I'm sure, will be very different. So I met Rhiannon, as I thought, on the Bristol leg of James Smith Book Tour back in January. However, part of the way we do things, we have a pre-recording call, and Rhiannon actually reminded me that we had met twice before this. I was severely embarrassed. We met at the London Live for James Smith's event, and then we also met at an end of challenge meetup in Bristol. So knowing that I forgot about these 2 instances may give you an insight into how messy these events get. Rhiannon checks in with me regularly on Instagram, calls me out on my bullshit, and somehow subliminally got me to sign up to 100 kilometers running challenge, which I'm doing next week. Rhiannon's also doing her own half marathon challenge. So I'm so pleased that you agreed to come on, Rhiannon. You actually came to me, which was a bit different. I approached most of our guests, but you offered to come on and said you would love to join in, which I was really pleased about. So welcome to Conversations with. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me. Yeah, we have met more than once. Clearly, you were drunk. But obviously there's no way I could forget you, mainly because you stand out above the crowd. But yeah, thanks for having me.
So another thing that I remember, I actually do remember, now I was more drunk at the Bristol leg of the book tour than previous, but I think we met earlier in the evening, which might make a big difference.
Yeah, I think we were both sober at the start.
Yeah, so, and we were not sober by the end of that event. And you started your new job the very next day on a severe hangover.
My boss might be listening.
So, well, tonight, though, the tables are reversed because Rhiannon's got a gin and tonic, I think, by the looks of it.
I do.
With colourful, reusable ice cubes. And I'm off the booze. So I've got my Coke Zero, despite it's 8:20 on a Friday night.
I might not remember this.
Yeah, you might not. Yeah. Well, it could be the awkward 4th meet, yeah. I think if anybody's seen, what's the comedian that talks about Out? Maybe you might be able to help me. Why have I forgot his name? Mickey Flanagan.
Yeah.
He talks about the awkward 4th meet as part of his So yeah, hopefully it's not the awkward fourth meet, Rhiannon. So how would you describe yourself?
It's always such a hard one. I'm surprisingly awkward considering I've, volunteered to come on a podcast. I'm really awkward and shy. People that follow me on Instagram would not think that I am, but I am. I'm really loyal, and sort of, if I meet someone and get to know them, then I want to see them succeed. So yeah, shy, loyal, and I don't know, friendly.
I'd agree
That'd
with
be a
you.
third.
So you definitely are. As, you like that bit about you said you wanted to see people succeed. I see that with on Instagram where you put like question boxes up, and there's always people asking for your advice and for your tips, and that means that they obviously are trusting and engaging with you, and that's obviously the friendly side. But you're always encouraging me and checking in and saying, "You've gone quiet. What's going on? Where are you?
Yeah,
Why are you not being out running? Have you been for your run today? So have you done your steps?" So, I'm like, okay, all right.
got to be done.
Yeah, that's it's brilliant. So kind of talking about Instagram now, so that shows a snippet of your life. We all put out what we want people to see. We were speaking the other night about how you'd posted something about McDonald's the first day it was opened, and you raced in and you went for that, which is part of James Smith. You can do those things. It's a way of calorie counting. And I learned that avoid the fries because they're the calorific side of it. They're more calorific than maybe the nostalgic bits of having a Big Mac or the bits that people like. But what kind of 3 things do we not know about you from if we were just looking at your Instagram?
I mean, I'm fairly open. I put a lot of stuff on my Instagram. It's hard because I do just kind of share everything. I've been around a while. I've done a lot of different diets and things like that. I've lived in quite a few different places: Ireland, the South Coast, Brighton, Crawley. So I've moved around a lot, which it's always been quite hard when it comes to losing weight, I guess, or fat loss, as we now term it, now that I know and I'm educated. I like photography, but then I put a lot of photos on Instagram. So if you haven't got that from the fact that I post a million photos, usually of myself, then that's something about me.
So our career paths have been, we were discussing this the other night, and it's almost like they're like for like, with just different brands.
Yeah.
But the jobs that you do are very much life on the road.
Yeah.
And that's something that I find quite difficult with managing your calorie intake. It's difficult. And you're always in places where the availability of unhealthy foods, whether it's staying in the hotels, harvesters, but also when you're working in service stations, retail, it's all around us. Most people might go to a retail space once a week, once every couple of weeks, once a month. We as working in retail, we always have all of that availability to us. So I think that you might not have got that from your Instagram, but of what you do for work.
Yeah, so I'm a regional sales manager. I've done a similar job for a couple of different companies over the last 5 or 6 years. But yeah, I mean, I do put up a lot of the food that I eat in hotels on my Instagram. but some people might just think I live the life of luxury, just
maybe
always in
you're just
different
a baller,
hotels.
Rhiannon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always quite selective of where I choose. It always has to have a spa, so it clearly looks like I have money. I don't. Yeah, so I travel a lot, and I travel a lot of the South Coast. Can do sort of 800 to 1,000 miles a week, stopping at service stations because it's got to 3 o'clock and I've forgotten to eat, eating out because I'm staying in hotels, not food prepping, not knowing what facilities I'm going to have when I get to each location, whether there'll be a microwave or anything like that. So it makes sort of planning your food really hard when you're trying to stay consistent. Obviously, over the last sort of 4 months, that's been quite different because I've been working from home. So all the restaurants and service stations have gone by the wayside, and I've actually had to cook for myself, which makes tracking a lot easier. So yeah, it's life on the road is hard, especially if you're trying to sort of work out and things like that. So making sure I book a hotel with a gym and getting up, like you sort of said, getting up early, going to the gym, being that business person, and then come the evening it's drinks and dinner. So it's quite a hard lifestyle to maintain and lose weight at the same time.
Yeah, it's often as well. What I find is you're working away. If you're in groups of other people, you're taking a team out and you're entertaining them, or you're in a regional sales managers meeting and everybody else, so then that becomes a drinking occasion. But also you don't switch off from work very often.
Nope.
And
no.
And working in the job that you do, it's a 7-day operation.
Pretty much, even if you're at home, you're at work. Always contactable over the phone. So, you know, I can be in the middle of a gym session and my phone's ringing and it's, do I answer it? Do I not? But yeah, the social aspect of it, you know, at meetings and things like that, again, it's one of the things that I find quite challenging when it comes to sort of my journey, is being able to say, no, I don't want another drink. That's going to push me over my calories. Or everyone's getting starters, main, dessert. I don't need to start a main dessert. I can just have a main, because you feel like you're missing out. So it's a really hard one to try and manage. And sometimes I do better at it than other times. But I'm getting better. And it is that fear of sort of what are people going to think. And I'm sure you know what it's like. You go out with a team of people and you say, oh, no, I'm watching what I eat. And it's, oh, but just have one. Oh, just try this onion ring. Just, you know, just have some chips with it. Don't know it. They've twisted your arm and you hadn't banked it on.
Yeah, it's, you know, that's maybe just something that people can relate with, even with just going out with friends. You know, the people that are the sabotagers.
Yeah.
You can't just go, fair play to you.
Yeah.
And it also is that fear of missing out as well. Like you said, you're sitting there being really disciplined, didn't have dessert, and then somebody else is sat there going, oh my God, this cake is amazing. You know, and you're going to get that, you know, especially if you actually like cake, or, you know.
Yeah. And I do like cake.
There's always food envy as well. If you go out for dinner with somebody else, they always order something that you were going to order and you decided not to. You decided on a salad bowl and they've eaten a nice big juicy burger and you're like, so next time you don't do it.
Yeah.
So it's hard to stay on. You might do it, you know, a couple of times.
Yeah. And like the thing for me is I always feel like if I go out to eat somewhere and I order a salad, it's the most expensive meal on the menu. It's not, but value for money wise it is. So I'm like, oh, do I really want to pay £15 for something that would cost me you know, £2 to make it home, or do I want the steak and chips that I'm not going to buy and cook myself?
Yeah. And you mentioned on the pre-recording call about the thing of having a what I know as a daily living allowance for expenses.
Yeah.
Feeling that you've got to maximize that.
Yeah. So, and again, it's that I can get a starter, main, and a dessert, and I'm not paying for it. So why not get it? And I am paying for it, but not in my money. I'm paying for it in my health. I'm paying for it in the kilos I'm putting on, the fact that my training's harder, the fact that I'm not getting the results that I need. But it's a really blinkered sort of view, and that's something that I'm still trying to learn now. And I think I've made quite good habits in the last sort of 4 months since being in lockdown. That means when I do go out, I don't need to spend the whole allowance. I don't need to have all three. And actually, it's okay to say no.
Yeah. And, we often feel like we're trying to be polite with things. So your upbringing then, so that you mentioned maybe about moving around and things like that, but
yeah.
You're right. So your surname is.
So my surname's Polish. It's Dudzik. I won't embarrass you by having to pronounce it.
Yeah. Well, whereas I tried with Pabs, and I was going to say, Duzik.
Yeah.
Not pronounce the second D, but that would have been.
I mean, officially it's like Duzek or something.
Duzek,
I'll probably get told that I'm wrong. But yeah, my granddad was Polish and came over just after the war or during the war. I don't know. He passed away when I was really young, so I don't remember too much about him. But he was very insistent on not teaching my dad Polish. And actually, thinking back, like hindsight is that if he'd have taught my dad Polish and my dad would have taught me Polish, I'd have a distinct advantage in, like, especially in sales, in the role I'm in, being multilingual. So most people see my surname and assume that I will know some Polish. And I mean, I know one word, it's a swear word, and that's not going to get me by in life. So that's yeah, it's not good. But yeah, so I'm Bath born and bred. So just down the road from where you are now. But I've always been quite career orientated. So I've always chased the job I want, chased the role I want, whether that meant moving halfway across the country or not. So sort of back in 2012, I moved to Brighton for a job role, a promotion, and then moved up to Crawley, which isn't the most exciting of places to live, although it is easily accessible to the airport. Yeah. So I did my stint working in the airport, which was always fun, 4 a.m. starts. And that's where my love of Monster came in. So like Pav, I'm quite passionate about Monster. And then, yeah, I wanted to come home. I wanted to be closer to family and closer to sort of friends. So a role came up and moved back. Stayed this way for a couple of years, and then some stuff happened. Decided that I needed to get away from particular people. Went through quite a bad breakup, and an opportunity came up to move to Ireland. And to date, like, that's probably one of the best things I've done. And like, it really pushed me as a person, pushed me to get out of a really negative mindset. I met some amazing people while I was over there, and it was only a 7-month sort of secondment. So I made the most of those 7 months, and the girls that I live with sort of pushed me to do better, kept me motivated, and then I moved back, and I've been a lot more of a positive person since coming back from Ireland. Although, you know, still roller coaster, as most people's lives are. And now I'm sort of settled back in the West Country, and I think I'd like to say I think it's where I'll stay, but I'm still career focused, so we'll see.
So, being career focused, then, both your parents are chefs.
They are.
So, do you think you get a hard working ethic from them?
Yeah. So, sort of when I grew up, both of my parents worked really hard. You know, being a chef, you put in 70+ hour weeks, split shifts, off early, back at lunch, off late, back in the evening. And I've always seen them both work really hard for their money and for what they do. So I started my sort of career, I guess, or working quite young, working in various roles with them, waitressing in their restaurants and things like that. So I do think they taught me quite a hard work ethic. And then as soon as you take that step into sales, it's do or die. It's work hard or don't work at all. So, you know,
go hard or go home.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, in sales you work hard and you play hard. There are lots of boozy nights out, like, and things like that, but it is hard work, and they really set me up for that. So I'm grateful for it. Them being chefs, the one thing I'm not grateful for is the impact on my waistline. So you know, it's
treats.
Yeah, like my mum always focused on pastries, cakes and things like that. So quite often I'd come home and there'd be a cheesecake in the fridge or some brownies or flapjack, and I've got a real sweet tooth, so it was really hard to say no to that. So I'm not surprised that I was overweight.
Yeah. I could see how that would happen. And, my mum was in the hospitality industry before I was born.
Yeah.
But lots of that good cooking came from that. And everybody's mum's cooking's the best, right? It's,
yeah.
So, but I think when you've had somebody that grows up in hospitality, there's things that are used.
Yeah.
Butter. Your chef's love butter.
Lard.
That means flavour. Yeah. There's
sugar.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, hopefully you still get to taste some of those treats, but you know how to manage them.
Yeah, they were really good actually when I sort of started my initial weight loss journey in Slimming World and things like that, because I've sort of bounced between them all. They tried their best to help me with thins and things like that, you know, making sure I knew what was going into my food, but I did sort of use it as a bit of an excuse to slack off and just see what they were eating.
It's good that you recognise that, though, that you use that as a reason not to, when actually they were trying to support you. And, that you've recognised that actually there's an element of self-control there.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you've tried loads of different things. You said Slimming World.
Yep.
What else have you tried?
So when I was growing up, I used to dance a lot. So I'd eat bad food and dance, and they sort of balance each other out. And then I stopped dancing and kept eating bad foods. And I joined Slimming World because a friend had done it. And actually, I did lose 3 stone. And I think the principles of Slimming World are quite simple to understand, even though you don't understand.
Yeah.
You know what they deem as good and what they deem as bad. You don't understand why a banana in one form is good and a banana in another form is bad, but they are. So, you know, you stick to the rules, and I did lose 3 stone and I was really happy with it. And then I sort of hit a plateau with Slimming World and didn't really understand why. So I gave up and then just sort of put weight back on. And then I started going to the gym a little bit, and I'd go for one session and then treat myself with a McDonald's or treat myself with a large share bag of Maltesers because I'd done a workout so I could. Obviously, life doesn't work that way. And then I thought, well, I know what will keep me motivated. I'll set myself a challenge. And I was living in Brighton, feeling really homesick, and saw the Bath Half Marathon on the TV. And I was like, well, I could do that. Why not? Yeah. So you know what it's like. You see people crossing the finish line and they're elated and they're really happy and everyone's emotional and they're crying and it's beautiful. So you think, I want that. So I signed up the day after the half marathon and said to myself, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a half marathon. I'm going to train. That's going to be my motivation to drop the weight. I didn't. I just thought, no, it's fine. I've got a year. Then, no, it's fine. I've got 8 months. No, it's fine. I've got 3 months. And then the realization hit that I couldn't even run 5K. And I'd signed up to do this half marathon. Which, as you'll know, as you've done one yourself, is quite a tough challenge. And the only thing that got me round the course and sort of over the finish line, and I was a broken human, was that I'd raised a lot of money for a charity that I really cared about. And I'd managed to raise a lot of money because a lot of people didn't believe that I would finish and they thought their money would be safe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, now, if there's money on the line, I am hobbling over that finish line. And I sort of got to the last 2 miles of the challenge. And I was that slow that they'd started reopening the roads. So it's not great, but I finished, I got a medal, and I was so chuffed that I'd done it. And I swore at that point that I would never run again. After that, I joined a sort of it was called Project Six Pack, and it was like a exercise class / boot camp 4 nights a week, and that was really good. I lost quite a lot of weight with that. They did some nutrition stuff, which looking back isn't necessarily based on fact. It's things like stop eating gluten, eat less dairy, which actually I can eat those and lose fat, as I've now learned.
Yeah.
And at that point, my best friend asked me to be her maid of honor. And the dresses she chose only went up to a certain size. And she was great, knowing that I'm pretty rubbish with losing weight. She asked if it was okay for her to pick those dresses and that she'd find something else if it wasn't. I went, nope, it's fine. I'll do it. And actually, that was a massive motivator for me. I didn't want to look rubbish in her pictures. I didn't want to let her down. I didn't want her to have to buy me another dress a week before the wedding. So I took one of the personal trainers from the Project Six Pack group that I used to do and trained with her. And the results were phenomenal. Like, I felt amazing in the dress. I looked what I thought I looked amazing. However, it wasn't sustainable. I was on really low calories. I was training really hard. I was not eating enough for my size. And looking back now, I can see that because I was really poorly after the wedding. Once I'd hit my goal and sort of rebounded and actually fed my body went, what is this stuff? And then I got poorly. And that sort of led me up to moving to Ireland. Once I'd moved to Ireland, I sort of went to the gym. My housemates were there and they sort of pushed me to go to the gym, but I knew I'd be moving back and I wanted something a little bit more, something that meant I didn't have to give it up and find another thing. So I didn't want to pay for a PT there and then move 3 months later and have to find another PT, because I knew that then I'd wait another 6 months to find a PT. So I put out a shout on my Instagram, and one of them came back with James Smith, and the fact that he was really cheap to join. So I checked him out. As most of the women in the academy will probably agree, thought he was pretty good looking. I liked what he stood for. I liked the fact that it was absolutely no, like, didn't pull any punches. It was honesty, and it was lots of swearing, and that really appealed to my, I guess, my sales side, because sales is quite brash too. So joined up, and that was 18 months ago, and that sort of brings you up to date.
There we go. So that I guess you're quite goal driven.
Yeah.
I know that you're in sales, right? So, but the dress, no, I will fit into that size dress. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
No, I will do a half marathon, even if I'm not ready.
Yeah.
There's a feeling of success. So, when you joined James, was within the academy, there's challenges. We've
Mm-hmm.
got a current one going on. Were you motivated by a challenge?
So part of the reason that I committed to paying for the academy was the fact that a challenge was just about to start. So it was Bali 2, I think. I forget the names. There's so many of them. And I sort of thought, do you know what? Yeah, I want to go on holiday with this man. So I'm going to join this challenge. That is my motivation, is I want to go on holiday with him. So I did do the challenge. That is what drew me in. I set myself some goals. My first goal was a weight loss goal, because that's all I'd ever really focused on, was what did I weigh. It's now, again, looking back, probably the worst goal you could set on a challenge, because I wasn't losing any weight, and it was really hard mentally on me because I wasn't losing any weight, and I was seeing these posts week on week that everybody was doing really well, and Sandra had lost 6 kilos and so had lost 40 inches, and I wasn't really losing quickly. Which was hard for me, and at that point I decided that actually mentally I wasn't in the right place to do a challenge. I was constantly comparing myself to everybody else and just going, well, there's no chance I'm going to win. There's no chance I'm going to win, so I'm not going to bother. And I stayed a member of the academy, and I still am a member of the academy now, but I don't compete in the challenges because mentally I still compare myself to other people. There's a lot of people in there, and a lot of people do some amazing things, but actually for me it's all about the things I've learned, and I've learned so much just from sort of speaking to other people that have been in similar situations and following the videos that James puts up, and I can now see where I went wrong in all the other things I've tried. So I stay a member of the academy, but I don't do the challenges, which is controversial.
Well, no, I think one thing that I wanted to bring out on his podcast is the James Smith Academy is so much more than being a premium member. There is other levels. You remember, if you're paying the $8.99 a month and you're using it for the videos and the education and the learning and the calorie counter, you're a member if you do the challenges. If staying part of the James Smith Academy thing is about the community, that's what might be worthwhile paying for you. There's more to the academy than just somebody might stay a member because they love the recipe area. There's a lot on offer from it. So there is more to the academy than just about challenges. And I'm sure that there's lots of people who do a challenge now. We've got some new a new challenge just started, and I'm sure that other people have just joined for that, and that's given them the motivation to start.
Mm-hmm.
Which is where we're going to do the challenge mini series, and follow those other journeys. But from speaking to some of the other guests, how many other challenges have they fallen off and cancelled? Because it wasn't quite working for them. Simon mentioned about hating to taking progress photos. I know that Sam hates that as well. I've learned some stuff from these about setting different goals other than weight loss, and maybe just doing it as measurements, maybe being about fitting into a dress like you did for your friend's wedding. And the challenge winners from this time, they know that some of those people have been a member for a long time before they've got to that stage. And if you guys are listening, I'm coming for you. Yes, you'll be on the podcast soon, and maybe if anybody's listening, if you like the idea of me getting the 4 challenge winners together on a podcast, let me know.
I think that'd be great.
So put it in the comments. I'm getting better at this. Like, subscribe, share. As James would say, if you haven't hit like. If you haven't hit share. But I'm done with the self promotion and back to reality. You mentioned something about and the challenge, you set 1 million goals. I didn't really understand. That was kind of from maybe following some other people, or not really knowing what it was you wanted to achieve.
Yeah, so I think when I went into the challenge, and a lot of the new people listening will probably relate to this, you want to go all in. You want to go all guns blazing, get the best results possible. And you see these seasoned veterans, I guess, people like Simon, who've been around since day dot. And you see they've set this challenge. Then they've set a mini challenge. Then they've set some stuff that's not fitness related in a challenge. And so you think, oh, well, I have to do that. And the explanations of what you can set as challenges have got better as time's gone on with the academy. And I think it is made quite clear now. But I've had a lot of people sort of slide into my DMs and sort of say, I've joined the academy. What would you say? What would you do? And I do give them advice. I don't tell them not to do the challenges, because actually they are a great tool. And if they've joined for the challenge usually. So, like I said, my first tip for them will be that don't set a weight loss goal. Unless that's really unless you're trying to achieve a specific weight because you want to go skydiving or something like that, don't set a weight loss goal. And the other things to, like I said, not compare yourself to the others, because again, you'll see these people who look like they're doing better than you, and it's all about your own journey and what you get out of it. So yeah, I set loads of random goals, like a certain amount of workouts a week. I set myself the challenge of reading 12 books, 1 a week. Now I don't read, so for me to set myself that challenge, it didn't make sense. So I think when you jump into a challenge, just be really specific about what you want to get out of it. And if your challenge goals aren't working for you halfway through, don't be afraid to change it. If you set yourself, like some people have had to do to adapt for the last challenge, if you set yourself a goal and then you can't achieve it through injury, or you think it's unrealistic, just message, coach chat, have a chat about your goals. That's what they're there for. That's what you pay for. And they are really supportive, and they do reply. So
and
use and abuse it.
Community as well.
Yeah,
and the Facebook group. The admins are amazing. They're really supportive.
And I always feel like a bit of an imposter when people slide into my DMs because I don't do the challenges, but actually they'll always get a constructive answer. And and I will
That's
direct them
great that
back
people
to other people.
feel that they can ask you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually the support within coach chat is amazing, but actually, and what we're trying to do with the podcast is bring out those real life stories and know that there's a support network from real life people there. Not everybody wants to go to the coach.
Yeah, I know when I started, I followed, Pav was actually one of the first people I followed, and I dropped him a message, and again, he replied, which was great. And it's just talk to people. Like, we're all friendly, and we do
Definitely.
reply.
And I think it's important to just congratulate Jack from our last episode.
Yes.
Who's followed in the footsteps of some previous challenge winners who are now going to be coaches for the academy, which is amazing, right? Because they understand what you need to go through to when they're doing a program. They've got obviously the relevant qualifications and everything, but they've got an understanding. So knowing that for anybody that is listening, thinking about joining, some of those coaches have been previous members. And that I messaged Jack, saying congratulations, but don't screw with my plan.
So puts a million burpees in your plan.
I think there's going to be some from now knowing him, he might push me if he's ever writing that plan. But the support from everywhere is amazing, right? And he mentioned you were still in the slimming world mindset.
Yeah, so not anymore, but when I first joined the academy and when I was first in the challenge, I was given my calorie goal, and I tried to sort of track to those calories, but then I'd go, oh, I don't need to weigh my pasta because it's free food. It's not free food. It has calories. It's not calorie free. But that's that slimming world mindset. I'll have a Muller Light, which I don't think are free anymore, but they were free back in the day when I did slimming world. I won't count that on my calories. I'll cover everything in sweetener because I'm allowed to. And maybe that was why I wasn't doing so well in the first challenge. And now when I see other people, like friends and stuff, and they're going, oh yeah, I'm doing really well on Slimming World, I'm like, try calorie counting. Slide the suggestion in there, send the link to James's calorie calculator. And
you're here because of a recommendation, aren't you?
Yeah.
So that shows you that it does work. And I remember reading a post this week on the community, and it said, I've just joined. Can people show me your progress photos just so I know that it really works? And bang, there was like 800 comments of like, here's my progress photos, here's my progress photos. There's me jumping in going, I lost 42 kilograms. There's the Jack story, there's everything's in, because people were passionate about it because it has worked for us. And that's not saying things that something will work for you at a time, but it wasn't sustainable. And I hope from James's thing, I think we've mentioned before, is about it's the driving instructor thing. You don't go to a driving instructor to pass your test to have to go back to them. Some people do because they've drink driving or whatever, they've lost their license, but most people get their license and that's it. And that's the way it should be. And a lot of us stick around for things like Just for the Community, or love the fact that we've just got a training plan written for us for a 40 quid or whatever. So there's loads of positive stuff. And I know that you've gone elsewhere.
I'm a traitor. No, I'm not a traitor.
I don't think James sees Darren as a traitor, right? But you've joined Darren Cartel for a little bit more accountability, is that right?
Yeah, so I jumped over to Darren's, I'm going to give him a plug now, I love this, Project X, and we were Project X1, which we've now labelled ourselves as the OGs, and it just came at the right time for me. I was in lockdown. I needed to form good habits. I needed to use my time productively. But if there was nobody holding me accountable apart from myself, then I wouldn't do it. And I know that. And I think that's quite a big step, is understanding when you need an extra push. So I joined Project X mainly because I get to send a form each night that says, yes, I've hit my calories. This is how many steps I've done. This is how I'm feeling. And it makes me think about making better choices. So, you know, like I said to you today, now I've got no excuse not to get my steps in.
Yeah.
And I will then, I know when I'm filling out my form tonight, I've hit my steps, I've hit my goals, great work. I've had really good success with it. I'm still a member of the academy, and it came in really handy because when I got my plan from Diran, there wasn't any videos. So there were a couple of moves and I was going, I don't know what this is. So I open up the academy, type in the move, and up comes a lovely video of James doing hip thrusts or bear crawls or, you know, whatever it may be. And the two of them work really nicely side by side, actually. So yeah, either way, James doesn't mind.
That doesn't mind. There's you know, and if that's working for you, having that additional accountability. You know, I've joined Paul Mortis Unstoppable 28 this week because I need some accountability in a different part of my life. You know, that's, you know, what I needed at the time. You know, the James Smith Academy will give you the education, I think, if, as a minimum.
Absolutely.
You know, the knowledge and the foundations. The stuff that you or I now might be thinking, well, I know that, yeah. But when I speak to friends and things, like I was speaking to a friend who I've been working with, and he was talking about somebody else he knows and how could he help that person lose weight, and I, it was like MyFitnessPal, starting logging his food, and I was explaining things like how many calories this person could eat, and you know what type of foods might make up that, and how 4 calories per gram of carb, 4 calories for a gram of protein, you know, 9 calories or 8 point odd for, you know, a gram of fat.
Yeah.
Hit your protein target. Don't worry about the others. Just make sure you're within your total calories. I'm reeling that off now because I've had the education.
I was having a conversation with a friend last night about why you shouldn't eat back your MyFitnessPal calories. And I was like, it's so simple and it makes so much sense. And then she was like, yeah, no, I get that. It's like, cool.
Yeah, so, there's a million other people still out there that need to be educated with that. And you know, but we've only learned it by following James initially, by willing to take the plunge, and then by trying to put it into action. You can watch a live at night and he might mention it, but does it really go in until you're actually applying it and having to do it? You know, as you saw at the start of that challenge, you were still applying Slimming World techniques. And so favorite foods, Rhiannon. I know that you've new favorite food maybe might be burritos. How many burritos have you had this week?
I love a burrito. So in the last 2 weeks, I have a burrito bowl because I like to save calories and not eat a wrap. So in the last 2 weeks, I've eaten burritos 7 times. I'm going to blame Coops for that. So Cooking with Coops, he's a JSA member as well. He did a tutorial of how to cook a burrito. My favorite sort of takeout restaurant at the moment is a burrito place, and there's one in Bristol that I went to today. So I just have burrito every day. I like it. I also really like chocolate. So yeah, those are my 2 vices.
That's nice. It's, you know, pasta as well. Did you mention that?
Yeah, I love pasta. I don't eat much of it now just because I'd rather save my calories for other stuff.
Chocolate burritos.
Yeah, chocolate and burritos. But a burrito can be healthy. So.
And then, have you got any tips with? So we're talking about My Fitness Pal.
Mhm.
You use something different, don't you?
Yeah, so I use NutriCheck. I jumped across to it a couple of months ago. You have to pay for it. So, and again, actually, it's an accountability thing for me. I've paid for it, so I'll use it and I'll track every day. Whereas MyFitnessPal, I found it quite easy to just not track. But I moved over to NutriCheck because it's UK based or Ireland based. You pick when you sign up. And if you type in carrot, it just comes up with one type of carrot. It doesn't come up with 80 million types of carrot that other people have added. So you know the calories are going to be closer to accurate. They're still not going to be 100%. And then they've got a takeaway feature for all the main like UK takeaway chains and restaurants and things like that. So it makes it really simple. Like my burrito I had today, just tracked like that without having to try and work out what's in it.
Yeah, there's I think that's important as well, because I saw some of these. Actually, it was Katie Hollies, who's going to be one of our new guests.
Yeah.
Later on, once I keep getting through everybody, but she had bought a cake, a lemon and white chocolate cake, with her coffee.
Yeah.
And I thought, how do you track that? I guess on NutriCheck, you've probably got a bigger chance of finding it.
Yeah, so like places like Costa and stuff are on there.
Yeah, so it's I think that I took that away from our pre-recording chat, that maybe I'll move over and have a look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, and then you also, something that Simon talked about, takes off some calories for
Yes.
logging. Is that?
What did Simon talk about? Yeah, so I set myself a buffer. So my calorie goal at the moment is 2004 calories. I always track to 1800. And the reason I track to 1800 is because I don't track things like ketchup. I don't track things like Pepsi Max that is 1 calorie a can, or Fanta Zero that's 13 calories. I don't track it. So that 200 calorie buffer covers all of that, and mentally that makes me feel a lot less controlled by calories.
I find it quite difficult as well when you're weighing everything to try and get it right.
Yeah.
I guess one thing I've done with My Fitness Pal is to start saving my meals and labeling them when I'm, because my meal prep, I don't do a meal prep like Pav on a Sunday where I cook for 7 days. I just make extras when I'm making something and bang it in the freezer with a label. And now I can start saving
this many calories, this much protein,
this date, and I can just have the chili 5th of the 1st, find out my meals and save it. And then the other thing I've realised is that booze is probably adding far more calories to my diet than I need to. So on My Fitness Pal, if anybody's not worked out, you can add up to 5 meals a day.
Yeah.
You can label them however you want. So I've got a separate one for alcohol and a separate one for junk food. And then I can see at the end of the week, because I'm very analytical, I like to go, 14% of my weekly calories were spent on alcohol. Or as it was the other week, it was 21%. And I was like, okay, that's got to go down. A fifth of my calories cannot be spent on booze in a week.
That's why you're on the Coke tonight.
Yeah, we're trying to be responsible adult that I am, because actually I didn't really drink huge amount like Monday to Friday and things before lockdown. I know that loads of people have said that actually booze has been on the increase. And I took some of the things away from the other podcasts about how many days can you track and getting these consistency goals. And it made me realize that I just wasn't. So new challenge and all that. Let's look at some new things and see how we go. Booze really powers it on, definitely. So how much weight have you lost?
Annoyingly, I'm actually heavier than when I started Slimming World all those million years ago, but size wise I'm a lot smaller. So during lockdown I've just hit 10 kilos lost, which I'm really proud of. And everyone says, oh, how did you manage that? All I'm doing is putting weight on in lockdown. But my situation's different. Like I said earlier, I'm now at home more. I can plan my meals more. So yeah, I'm 10 kilos down now, and 55 centimeters. I'm measuring centimeters because you get more for your money.
Than inches.
Yeah. So and actually it was a tip I gave someone else. Was they were going, oh, I've only lost 3 inches, and I was like, converted to centimeters, and they went, oh yeah, because my conversions are rubbish, but I think that's about 7 centimeters.
2.2.
Yeah, about 7-ish, maybe.
Yeah.
And it sounds better.
Yeah.
So in their head they went, oh yeah, that's 7 centimeters. That's actually quite good. So
and if you're
my
over,
bit of advice, measure in centimeters.
unless you're of a certain age, we weren't taught about measuring in inches.
Yeah.
We were taught how to use 30 centimeter ruler stick,
Yeah.
or a meter stick. So,
Yeah.
there wasn't about inches.
Yeah.
There's, although the UK were really weird. If anybody's listening outside of the UK, you might just be thinking, well, centimeters, kilometers, blah blah blah. We use both for different things.
Yeah, we use whatever we want. Just make it up.
Something. Miles for driving, kilometers for running. It doesn't doesn't make sense sometimes.
Like I used to weigh myself in pounds and stone, and I changed to kilos probably about a year ago. And again, it was the same reason, because mentally it sat better with me. Because when I was looking at my weight in sort of stones, I was thinking, oh my God, I've not lost any weight compared to where I was years and years ago, although I'm a smaller dress size. Mentally, as soon as I changed it to kilos, I was like, this is amazing. I couldn't figure out what 117 kilos was. So it was new numbers for me.
It's hard to do the conversion. People,
yeah.
And it's, if I'm speaking to somebody like my dad and I say, oh, I've lost 3 kilos, he's like, what's that in pound and stone? It's
my dad's really spot on. He does all my conversions for me. But that's from the chef in pounds and ounces and stuff. So yeah, I'll go, oh, I've lost one kilo, and he'll go, oh, 2.2 pounds, just like that.
I know that much, but when you start putting pounds and stone together, it's like 14 pounds to a stone, and you have to actually start doing the maths. It's but
my brain hurts.
Do you know what? Go to Google and go, what's 5 kilograms, and it tells you. And that's probably one of my favorite things to say to somebody when they say, oh, ask a question, and you go, it's amazing. It's amazing. Do you know what? Google seems to be only for selected people. It's almost like it's not available to everybody. And and I'm like, have you not got access to Google? It's been around for like, I'm also a very facetious, sarcastic bastard sometimes.
Well, I'm fairly similar, hence not letting you live down the fact that we've met more than once.
Well, there we go. So, that was I'm still apologetic about it. And I've still got loads of notes here. We're like an hour in, and
sorry.
No, I'm just thinking that
our pre-recording call all over again.
All of our podcasts have been quite long, and I said I was going to try to get them down to 40 minutes at one point, but what's the phrase? Sorry, not sorry. We're hopefully bringing you some great content, and helping people along the way. What's have you got any other tips for helping people?
Just keep going, and I think that's the thing for me is, if I have a bad day, and James says it a lot, like one hot day doesn't make a summer, if I have a bad day, it's not a bad week. It doesn't need to turn into a bad week. It doesn't need to turn into a bad month. Write it off or work your calories out for the rest of the week. And if the thought of working your calories back over the week is too daunting, then write it off and start again the next day, because that's going to be much better than waiting until Monday.
Yeah. Doesn't matter if it's bad, log it. If it went in, log it.
Yeah.
Then learn from it. Move on, accept it.
Yeah, and I find by logging everything, even the bad days, like even when I ran to McDonald's for 11 o'clock when it opened on the first day, log it. Because then I can see, like you said, that the chips aren't worth the 400 calories that are in them.
Mm-hmm.
Or not for me anyway. They might be for someone else. That might be why they go to McDonald's. But yeah, I went over my calories that day. I knew I would, but I logged it. I knew what the damage was. And I think so many people go, oh, I haven't lost weight. Okay, so what have you done this week? Oh, well, I haven't done my walking. I haven't tracked my food. Well, then why are you surprised?
Yeah. I'd say most people know. They just need to.
Yeah, they know. They just don't want to admit it.
Mm-hmm. So I've got written down here that you have chocolate every day.
I do.
So,
I was going to say, I've had chocolate today, but I had a chocolate-filled donut today. So,
you might have forgotten that you had it, but it was in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tracked, it's logged. I'd recommend it. There's a stand right by the, I want to call it St Paul's Market in Bristol.
St Nick's Market.
That's it. There's the donut stand there. Highly recommend.
Well, look at that. And Alistair's gone. He's run out the door. Yeah. We were talking about, obviously, like drinking, right?
Yeah.
You go out for a night out. And we were speaking the other day about logging that. And how many did I have? Was it 4 or 5 doubles? That's or 10 or 12 or 3 bottles.
I've been logging mine as singles, but I'm definitely not pouring singles. So.
Oh, you've been logging them at home, have you? Ooh, dangerous. It's easy at home because you weigh the bottle and then weigh it afterwards.
I didn't even think of that. Amazing. Every day's a school day.
Every day's a school day, yeah. Yeah, and then you go, shit, there were 80 mils. 30 mils. But when we spoke about that, I remember the book tour, so we can chat a bit about the book tour.
Oh, Bristol book tour. Yeah, still haunts me.
And myself, you, Joe, Reggie, and Paul, Gin Lad and Fitness, who's
future
also
guest.
He's a future guest as well. Obviously, everybody I know is now been roped into being a future guest. But I remember we spoke about that, about how much did we actually drink. But I couldn't tell you.
Maybe we should ask Paul.
But we now know we can ask Paul, because I remember Paul logging everything and being quite proud about it in a way. Well, that's that logged. Even at 1 a.m. Bang, and it become a habit, just logging it there and then and on the spot.
My only challenge is being able to see my phone at 1 a.m. after a book tour.
Yeah. That's why God gave us 2 eyes.
Squint.
Yeah, everything's logged as sausage, beans, and mash, but actually it was gin and tonic.
It'll average out.
But yeah, that was these events. You've done quite a lot of them, haven't you?
Yeah, so I've tried to get to as many as possible that work will allow, because obviously working in sales and working in retail, weekends are non-existent for me. So I've been to 4 or 5 now. 5. So my first one was Cheltenham. which was the end of the challenge that I didn't finish. And I thought, well, it's close to home. I don't really have an excuse for not going. So I signed up, booked a hotel, put it out on the Facebook group that I needed a roommate. And Corey sort of came up to me and said, I'll share. So sharing a room with a random stranger, what could go wrong? And I wrote a blog post about it, so for new people, but I was really nervous, and I guess this comes back to me being really shy and awkward. I got to the rounders and I sat in my car. I just sat in my car for about 40 minutes, didn't want to get out the car because I didn't know anyone. Anxious as hell, really nervous, shaky. Finally plucked up the courage to get out of the car, started walking towards the rounders field, saw that James and Darren were there, and got back in my car for another 5 minutes while I calmed myself down. I think the biggest sort of teaching from that is, do it anyway. To all those new people thinking about going on the next challenge meet, if and when there is one after COVID, go. Because once I'd sort of plucked up the courage to go and actually walk into the field, I just walked up to it was Jen, and I can never remember, Be More Jen, I think she was on Instagram, and I just went up to her and went, hi, I'm Rhiannon, I'm new and I don't know anyone. And she was like, I don't know anyone either, and started chatting, introduced me to a couple of other people. And then I saw some people I recognised who didn't know me, and you do that whole, as many people have discussed, oh, you're Secret Veggie, or you're Project Pab, or you're Coco Rai, like, you just call them by their Insta handle. And then actually being able to meet James at that, and he doesn't come to all the end of challenge parties because we have a lot. But
and he lives on the other side of the world for half the year.
Yeah, true. But actually being able to talk to James and Darren, they're so humble. Like, they took the time to talk to every single person there. They took the time to ask you about what you thought of the academy, how you were getting on. Darren even recorded a video that I could send to my friend to say, why weren't you here? Which was really cool. And then I went to the event in Bristol, got drunk, listened to his talk. The book tour, didn't really listen very much as I was very drunk.
I think if anybody's listening who's not part of it, it could be that they're not going to join because of us. Because we got really drunk before we went in. We thought we knew everything that James was going to say, and we should probably apologise to James for that, because we were very loud and we took over 2 rows. And if the gentleman who was sat in front of me, who tapped me on the knee and told me to calm down, is listening, or the personal trainer that's from my gym, who was also a row in front, we didn't do ourselves a great reputation for being respectful, but we had a good time.
We were there, we bought books, we tried to pay attention, and we'll go to the next one. He just put up the sign up for locations for the next book tour. I pre-ordered the book the moment he put it up, and I've signed up to get notifications of when the tickets go on for the next book tour. So hell yeah, I'm going again. I promise to be quieter.
I think this time we might not know it all because it's a different.
No, it's a new book, different stuff.
Yeah, so maybe we can learn into something. But it's what about the older events is, like, we talk about it being a massive piss up, and it is. It's like a full weekend on the booze, and we go hard before we go home. But there's all these little things, like you mentioned, rounders. You're in Bristol, there's a walking tour. There's other meetups where people just have smaller meetups and they do things.
Yeah, so actually, Bristol, quite a good point. I went sober and I left sober. So you don't have to drink to go to these events either. As in the Bristol end of challenge event.
And I know
So
there's some sober people in the academy as well who still go to the events.
yeah, so you don't have to get drunk, and we won't force you.
No. But if you like a drink, you're welcome. So, yeah, they are brilliant events. There's, I'm just having a quick like, and you also mentioned, I remember you just said there about cooking with coops.
Yeah.
If you love a takeaway but you want to do it better and do it at home, absolutely follow.
Give him a follow.
Because they're so brilliant. I've learned so much about cooking from because he's been a professional chef, and he shows you how to make like the coolest things. KFC, McDonald's, did a burger night. He's done his burritos. His spring roast is amazing. Yeah,
He's doing ribs. Did ribs tonight.
Did ribs. I haven't checked tonight's out because
so it was really interesting actually, because obviously, like I said, my parents are chefs, but from doing his burrito tutorial, I made the rainbow salsa, and he taught me some chopping techniques. I went to my parents' house all like elated that I knew how to chop properly. My parents just looked at me and were like, yeah, that's how you do it. I was like, but this is your career. I'm the only person in my house that isn't a qualified chef. Like my brother's qualified as well. So these chopping skills were new to me. And my dad was like, oh, well done. Really proud of you.
Why didn't you teach me that?
He could have taught me that. But I guess it's learning it from someone that you don't know. And he's amazing. And like a JSA member, so academy full of talented people.
There's definitely a lot goes on, and you can learn a lot. Pulling favors. Just build some great friendships. We were chatting about that, weren't we? About when we first joined.
Yeah.
There's seen as within the academy. There's, as you mentioned, even about Project X. You've called yourself the OGs.
Yeah.
And you've built up your group. And some people might feel it's hard to get into those groups. But you mentioned, what was it you mentioned about actually create your own group?
Yeah, so I think when you come to the events and when you sort of join as a newbie, you see all these people that know each other. First of all, half of them don't know each other. You just get yourself out there. But secondly, you'll find your tribe, like you'll find your people in the academy. You don't have to be friends with everyone. Everyone will be supportive and everyone will give you advice and reply to things and like things, and we are cheerleaders. I'm a massive cheerleader. I'm not doing this challenge, but I absolutely cheer on the people that are. But when I went to those meetups, and every single one's been different, but I've made this new group of people that I check in with. I kick up the arse when they're not doing their running, like with you. Have you done your steps today? And there's a few people, but you'll find your people. So don't worry about it. And actually, you find some really long-lasting friends that I would now quite happily go and see and meet up with outside of the academy.
Yeah, so, without it being a challenge win or
end
of or anything.
Yeah.
And we also get into you were telling me about heated debates with Mike Redden.
Oh God, you're really painting me in a great light here, aren't you?
This is what you've already shared with me. So
so we have a lot of banter on the group, and I know a lot of other people have spoken about sort of the banter that they have with people. And if anyone makes a suggestion about headphones or what headphones do I buy, I've started the new challenge and I want some headphones, Mike Redden always tags me in it and says, Rhiannon will give you a biased view of Sony as my previous employer, and I love their products. I love their headphones. So he always tags me. Like, I try and stay out of it because my opinion can be seen as biased if you know that I used to work for them. All the headphones I use are Sony. I'm using Sony's today. But he always tags me, always, without fail. And it came off us having a heated debate over what are better, Bose or Sony. So we have fun, and you'll get known for something, whether that be being taller white friend or you know, the Sony headphone expert as I am. If you sort of put yourself out there, you'll get known as something in the academy.
So you can explain taller white friend.
So obviously most people listening that are from the academy will follow James, and they'll know that James has a friend called Jade, or Tall White Friend, who is really tall. And when we were in Bristol, I think you two had a little bit of a height off. Don't know if that's what you'd call it. Turns out you are taller, White Friend, which then meant that there were lots of pictures of short people in between you both, myself and Sarah included. And yeah, it's kind of just stuck, although I think you forgot about that too.
But yeah, I kind of forgot about that as well. It's be a good Insta handle, I think.
Yeah. I think Jade might come after you.
So, can't have me anyway. So he let me grab his head.
He did. He did.
It's you know, that, you know, just showed me who had the overall status in that argument. So, well, yeah,
interestingly, Jade has Sony headphones, so yeah. He wrote in my book.
I'm like, you know, okay, we had an argument. I like the AirPod Pros. I've lost my case, albeit.
Yeah.
But I'd sweat an incredible amount, and I have been through a million different headphones that all short out after me sweating, because it's like being in the swimming pool. $15.99 sweat-proof pair on Amazon I've had for longer than anything while I'm in the gym. And so it doesn't always have to be the expensive ones. You know, there's
no, sure.
You know, they became my
the ones I'm using now aren't expensive ones, but these are my ones that I use for the gym as well.
I'll just let you know, you did just break up as you said that. So
they're not expensive. Well, clearly they're rubbish. I hope Mike's not listening.
I think he does. He does listen. Just is there anything kind of that you think that we've not brought up? There's traveling. You love to travel. How did I forget about traveling? You know, so
because I can't do it now. That's how.
Yeah, that's it. We're not allowed to go anywhere. Must stay at home. Pub's open tomorrow though, but
yep,
I'm not going. Yeah, tell me about traveling, because I learned something from you about traveling that I never realised and never kind of jumped on.
Yeah, so I think because I travel a lot, and I used to sort of fly a lot between Ireland and the UK as well. I collect Avios points, which I collect points because I like free things. So I use them to sort of upgrade my flights and things like that. So at the moment, I'm trying to collect enough to upgrade my flights for my trip to Vegas next year to upper class, just because I can. But I like traveling. I like going on lots of holidays every year. It's what I spend my money on. You know, I don't have kids or any other commitments, so I just book flights, jet off, which has been quite hard because I've had two sort of holidays cancelled this year, and I had to cut my trip to New York that I had in March short because of COVID as well, and sort of fly home to make sure I was allowed back in the country. So yeah, I'm looking forward to when I can get back out and traveling again. Go back to Bali. It's probably my favourite destination, not with great memories, because of who I went with. So I want to go back and make new memories. And I really want to train at Bali MMA, mainly because James and Diran go there and it looks insane. So I might die, but I want to train there. That's a goal.
Well, we share a passion for boxing, so
Yeah,
yeah,
I
and
try.
I'm telling you, like James is absolutely following me at the moment. Yeah, just everything I do, I've open water swimming. James is suddenly open water swimming. Boxing, suddenly James is boxing. Yeah, it's like stop copying me, James. Yeah, podcasts, obviously.
Influencer. There you go. You're an influencer.
Yeah, I'm not trying to, call him out or anything, but James, I'm about to post a video tonight where my right hand is if you fancy a heavyweight fight, because that's the division you're in. If anybody wants to see that,
Charity boxing match.
you could harass James. I'll be up for it. Although I did also spar with a girl today, and she kicked my ass. So
It wasn't me either.
It wasn't you. This is not sparring. It's but you've always commented when I say about boxing. What is it? For you about?
I like hitting things. I'm not violent. It's just such a release, and you burn so many calories doing it, but you don't realize that you've burnt so many calories because it's so much fun. I much prefer boxing on a bag, mainly just because sometimes you get opponents in classes who sort of are quite weak with holding the pads up and you don't want to hurt them. So I prefer sort of punching a bag, but it's just such a release. I recommend it to everyone. Everyone jumps on the jiu-jitsu bandwagon, which, to be fair, does look insane. But boxing is just as awesome.
Yeah, there's a reason why most boxers have got a skinny waist. Definitely. Why have I got Steph my latte written down?
Steph your life. Oh, that was something absolutely not related to the podcast.
Oh, right. Cool.
It was just someone that builds platforms for websites.
Okay, right. That was for personal stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to start plugging my other stuff on here because I probably wouldn't do it.
You've got your own podcast.
Yes. And then, so kind of just to wrap up, because I think we've covered so much stuff, and it's so interesting to kind of, even me hearing it, it's kind of been really interesting, and I hope that other people find it interesting.
Hopefully it just keeps them walking for longer, because we've got a step challenge going on, and
so that Step Up JSA, the new thing within the community, that helped you put your steps up, right?
Oh, massively. I'm a child, and I like tick boxes and star charts, so I get a star every time I hit my 10,000 steps. So because of Step Up JSA, I was hitting an average of 14,000 the month just gone. This month I've sort of dropped it down, but I'll do 2 long walks a week and obviously a half marathon next week. But it's massive, and steps are so underrated. So thanks, Graham, for sort of setting that up. And anyone that isn't on it this month, get on it next month.
Yeah, it's been amazing. My steps have gone up over the last week. I've been really busy and I found my excuses, and I need to go away and re-analyze it, so that I can get them back up, next week. But yeah, obviously Graham's another future guest, so it's all coming together. It's all coming together. And maybe I'm going to work with Graham to see if we can get him on, to maybe announce the winners of the Step Up JSA challenge.
That'd be cool.
In July.
I'm in Graham's team, so it's going to be our team.
He does call himself the winning team.
I mean, it's not actually. He's not our team leader. It's
just in the team.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. And you've got Aunt Julie.
Yeah,
Right. It's,
so she's
yeah,
getting all the steps in too. So we are the winning team.
and also Aunt Julie is also another future guest. So, boom.
I'm not setting you up for this.
Yeah, that, yeah. This was not planned. You mentioned about being an inner child. Kind of how do you, because it's all great. Well, we go out for steps, we go to the gym, we're trying to track our calories. We've mentioned about having a drink, and but how do you kind of chill out? What's because obviously life in lockdown, we've not been able to just go and party and.
Yeah, so chilling out for me is Netflix. Put Netflix on, music, like chuck music on, just put my phone down for a little while. I've started to try and read more during lockdown. Podcasts, so many new podcasts that I found during lockdown. And actually they help me get my steps in as well. Once I'm able to, going out and having a drink helps me relax. Going out for dinner with friends, that sort of thing. So I'm fairly simple in terms of what I do. I work a lot, so it's what can I fit around that?
And then has there been any like interesting podcasts that you have listened to that you'd say go and check them out? Obviously, we know about Fair Points podcast, James, and James's own podcast,
Yeah.
podcast. You've got
So all the usuals, and obviously this one.
Yeah, there's a follower of yours that you recommended.
Yeah, so I've got a friend who's actually, yes, maybe I can't remember. But the one I would recommend, that my friend's just started a podcast, so it might have been this one that I'd recommended to you. And she's just started a podcast called Behind the Shannon. And it's all about her sort of battle with diabetes. And again, she's a JSA member. So give that a listen. It's a really good podcast as well. So check it out after you've listened to all of these.
We might collab, me and Shannon, on something at some point. Kind of any like mantras or quotes that you kind of live your life by, anything that gives you a bit of motivation?
The one thing for me is just accept it and move on. Like, that's my biggest sort of motto in life. Just move on. Don't dwell on anything for too long, because it's a waste of energy.
Female. Fuck it, move on.
Yep.
And,
I was trying to be more polite.
not on this podcast, you don't have to be. I invited on Simon. What's the? It was game over from that point on.
Yeah.
Cool. How are people going to stay in touch with you? And I know that you write your own blog as well, so tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So my blog is at www.thefatgirlguide.com. It's full of a load of random chats about things I've tried, things I've done around weight loss, life in lockdown. There's a couple of things about traveling. I don't update it all that often, but my plan is to get better at writing down things that I want to talk about. Instagram, I update, I want to say hourly, but it's not quite that often. And that's at Fatgirlguidetogettingfit. Or if you're in the academy, you'll find me in the academy Facebook group too.
Fantastic. Rhiannon, thank you so much. All the best with Darren's
Project X.
Project X, and I know that you've gone to Project X Lifestyle. And we shall meet for the second stroke, fourth time very soon.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure, and enjoy your I'm going to get it out there, 100k race next week, so now you have to do it.
So just to keep me accountable then, everybody, if you are listening next week, harass me and make sure that there's lots and lots of stories updates about running 100 kilometers in 7 days. I'm not doing it for charity, or and I know there's loads of charities that do need supported at the moment. All I'd ask is, if you've got some spare cash, donate to the charity that you think is most relevant. I read an article today about cancer research being £150 million short just from the lockdown. And that's really important to me with cancer, and it touches so many other people. So just remember that there are still charities out there needing your support. But 100k in 7 days will be done, because my good friend Onu won't let it not happen. So and Rhiannon won't let it not happen. And the other 20,000 or 2,000 odd active JSA users won't let it not happen. So if you see me running as well, give me a toot. I will be everywhere with 100 kilometers. But thank you so much for listening to the 6th episode of Conversations with. And as I sort of plugged in the middle of it, please share it with your friends and family. It doesn't need to just be within the James Smith Academy. I know we've got listeners out with us. We're being listened to across the world. So thank you for that. Make sure you check out our next episode, which is going to be this ugly mug. If you're listening, you don't get to see it. But I'm ready to tell my whole story. I think there's some stuff in there that even family members don't know. So, we're going to welcome back from our 2nd episode, Project Pav. We're going to swap chairs. He will be in the driving seat, keeping me on track, making sure that I don't become a bubbling mess at times. But we're going to try and keep it all entertaining. I'll let you know my story and who the person behind the podcast is. As I said, we've got the mini series coming up to follow the challenge side by side, which will hopefully either keep people going with the challenge, tell you some different stories, different learnings each week. They're going to be hopefully a bit shorter for you. But we've got 12 people committed to doing that. So it's going to be a group podcast, which will be interesting to try and host that and keep 12 JSA members quiet at times. But I'm really looking forward to bringing you that. And as I said, I'm going to work on a couple of other ideas around trying to get Graham on to do an update about Step Up JSA. And then the 4 new challenge winners are going to come for you as a group podcast and get you to tell your stories in a oneer. Just try to keep it fresh. You can give us a follow, as I said, at podcast_conversations_with on Facebook. On Instagram. And on Facebook, it's at Podcast Conversations With. I look forward to seeing you on the internet. Thank you very much, and enjoy your walking or however you're choosing to listen to it. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.